As recently as last year, nearly one-third of Americans surveyed, 38% of all respondents and 55% of those who identify left of center said assassinating President Trump would be at least somewhat justified. 31% of respondents and 48% of those left of center said the same thing about Elon Musk. If you consider yourself left of center, it's a coin toss on whether you think killing somebody for political differences is justified. That's not good. I mean, one-third of the people overall, because once again, if you have literally Hitler, you go, yeah, sure. We have something like that, Charlie Kirk, he's an existential threat to the lives of the LGBT community, literally Hitler. Well, if you're a member of that community or an ally, you go, I don't want gay friends to die. I have to defend them and go on a hero's journey and kill Hitler. Welcome to Loaded Talk. I am Frank. Along with me today is...
What's up, Planet Earth? I'm Bean.
All right. We're being a little quicker and a little more somber with this. As everyone knows, for one, it's 9/11, of course, 24 years later. So that is its own thing. But yesterday, Charlie Kirk, the conservative Christian influencer, of course, was murdered or assassinated, according to some, which I actually haven't looked up what makes something an assassination versus a murder.
Good question.
Yeah. Feel free to pull it up if you like. So yeah, Charlie Kirk was at a college in Utah. He was there to do one of those, debating the college kids things. He does them all over with Turning Point USA, his organization he founded when he was but a boy, I think 18, I saw. And so as he was set up, a person shot him from a rooftop where they laid, prone with a 30-06, shot him right here, kind of above the heart, maybe directly in the carotid artery. Hard to say, but it's, I guess, neck, technically, I guess the first time I saw it, it looked like it was square in the heart, but it is above it. What do you got here? Murder by sudden or secret attack, often for political reasons. Okay, that's an assassination, yeah. So he was assassinated. But the thing that's been getting me, even from the beginning, is kind of the reaction to it. There has been, of course, you got the people that are, sad and mad, and people that align with him politically or knew him personally. And there's a lot of normal people out there that are saying, obviously that murder and assassination is wrong. And that, this is a young guy, 31, married, 2 kids. And I guess some people are even disparaging that online. They go, so what? Martin Luther King Jr. was a dad. Malcolm X was a dad. And you go, yeah, but people were also sad about them being assassinated. Like, that was also a bad thing. So I think it's one of those people are trying to make the point. And I guess this actually gets into something I want to talk about a little later. But my wife was just telling me about these posts floating around Facebook just before we started. And it seems like it's one of those, racial strife sort of things. Like, you only care because he's white and Christian. You don't care if Martin Luther King was Christian too. But anyway, you don't care if he looks different or whatever. You wouldn't care if it was a trans kid, or you wouldn't care. And I guess my whole thing with that is I don't recall a murder, assassination, what have you, that people on the right, or at least people not even on the left, not the blue no matter who group, celebrating. Do you remember any even attempted assassination by, people made fun of the Pelosi's husband once he was going to be okay. Some people made fun of him because they said he was there on having a little gay hookup. But even then, I feel that was a very fringe sort of Twitter, Reddit kind of person. Do you recall any?
Nope.
Yeah, so excuse me. On top of the people having kind of normal reactions of mourning, or just people offering condolences and sort of behaving like normal people do when there's a death, there's a contingent. It does seem to be a blue no matter who contingent. It doesn't even have to be the rabid left, you know. You have the rabid left, the right, you got all these different groups, but the blue no matter who would be kind of like the Fox News Republicans, I guess I'd compare it to. They just don't have a network that anybody watches. But there's been a mix of celebrating it. There's been a mix of apathy. You know, who cares? And there's been a lot of this. It's wrong to murder, and you shouldn't die for your political differences. But and that but is normally followed by, he was not a friend to the LGBT community. You know, he was critical. He did not believe in transgenderism is a mental health issue. Homosexuality is a sin. He was a conservative Christian type. That is what they believe in the Bible and all that. Leviticus, I gave it a read again, just to be like, maybe some people twist a lot of stuff. I read that. It is kind of hard to read it the other way than that, a man who lays with a man like a woman, whatever, should be executed or something. Now that I have to look more into, what are they called, the Levitical laws or what have you, to really understand where this is all coming from. Anyway, I'm not here to have a biblical debate, but he was a Bible guy, and that's in the Bible. And so people are like, well, he said some nasty stuff about gay people and trans people. He had a quote at some point, and I did not look up this quote to see the full context, but something to the effect of, unfortunately, gun violence is a reality, a side effect of having a freedom to bear arms. Is just something that we have to deal with if we're going to have gun rights. I don't think he was celebrating it. The people make this quote as if he was saying like, get over some dead kids. It's all about gun rights. I don't think that's it. I think he's just saying, I think the point was that obviously bad people and crazy people will get guns too. The only way to eliminate that is to eliminate guns from the planet, or at least the hemisphere. If there's guns that exist, and bad guys tend to want them, and they tend to get them. And so I think his quote about gun violence and gun death is more saying that it's not the guns. There are other problems to solve. And so with this, they go, well, he said you have to deal with a few gun deaths if we're going to have gun rights. Well, here's one. What do you got?
Well, see, I interpret it as the necessary, quote unquote, the necessary deaths are in defense times when somebody's defending themselves. Whoever they shot is the justification for the gun rights. To defend oneself. That's the justification.
I mean, that's the justification. I think what this was saying that, like, with having and actually the point of the gun rights is to kill the government and overthrow them. But I mean, they said you got to be able to form a militia, and take out the government when they get too powerful. But anyway, so he had this quote. It doesn't look great on paper. It looks insensitive, and call it insensitive. Fine. But they go, okay, well, he said these things. Like, some people will end up dying, and it's sad and it's tragic, but it's just the way it is. In the name of avoiding, gun reform, as they would call it, common sense gun reform, and so they're kind of saying, well, you shouldn't die, but this is what he believed: live by the sword, die by the sword, kind of thing. And it's this kind of tepid, feign empathy. You shouldn't do this, but this is what this guy preached. Therefore, it's not really a tragedy other than the general tragedy of life loss. And it's, talking out of both sides of the mouth. And so this has been a reaction. There's been, obviously tons of people on TikTok and Blue Sky and stuff straight celebrating, what happened. And to be perfectly blunt, I was never a fan of his shtick. I was not a big fan of Turning Point USA. I thought some of their Christian stuff got in the way of some of their liberty stuff, and that they could get less in favor of liberty if they could justify it biblically. And maybe I'm wrong, but
that's a good way to say it.
Yeah. So moral. The what did they call it? I don't know. George W. Bush had some jargon for it, where it's basically, I don't know, but it's strategery. Yeah, but it's that moral majority. It's legislating morality type stuff. And so I was never a big fan of. They had the conference in Tampa a few years ago, and this woman was posting. She was real excited to go, big conservative, all that kind of stuff. Well, she got her credentials taken away and she got thrown out. And what happened was one of these Christians there recognized something about her and said, this lady, even though I've never heard of her name, this lady does the pornographies. And she has a different name when she's behaving as such. She was there with her normal name in a dress.
Debbie?
Yeah. It was Debbie. But she was dressed in a normal, no cleavage and all that, as I recall, or at least not obscene. And so because of her profession, in spite of her political beliefs and perhaps even her religious beliefs that, maybe one or two items she disagreed on, that she got kicked out she probably got a refund. They probably refunded her. But I saw that. I was like, well, this is silly, because I was thinking, big tent liberty movement, but do as you will. This is who he was. This is how his organization was. Christian conservative. It is who he is. So I'm professionally not a big fan. The tactic of debating college kids that Crowder's done, Shapiro's done, he's done. I mean, he's not the first to do this. And it's easy. It's low hanging fruit. As we were talking on a totally different topic earlier today. 18, 19-year-olds, they are the dumbest adult version of themselves that they will be. They hopefully will only get smarter from, not all of them do, but hopefully they all get smarter from that time. And when you go in as I guess he was 31, but when you're 30, you have an extra 10 years of life experience, let alone going in 40. It's just, you have, by living through different events, you have a memory that they do not have, that they've only read about, they've only heard people talk about. But if you live through 9/11, if you live through these years, you don't need a book. You need a book maybe for some particulars. But you go, oh, I remember the fall of the Soviet Union. I remember Monaco, whatever it is.
Building 7.
Yeah. Well, it was going to fall any time now. It already fell. Now it fell. Yeah, don't remember that. Yeah, that's
sorry.
No, it's okay. It is 9/11 after all. But what was I saying?
Oh man.
Anyway,
life experience.
For
sure. A young mind.
So I've never been a big fan of that tactic, right? I've thought it seems like a cheap tactic to grow stature, gain followers. I don't know him as a person. I don't know his character, like his actual character, not stage character, his professional character, whatever. Not a fan, but his actual character as a human being, the one that matters. I don't know him at all. I've never met him. I don't know anything about him. I hear a lot of people say he was a fine guy. I believe him. I got no reason to think that he's anything other than that. He seems like a typical Christian conservative fellow that is ambitious. I mean, he started this organization at 18. I'm sure he was a driven, nice enough fella, So I just that caveat. So I'm not not coming at this as a fanboy or a hater. I guess neutral, neutral in the grand sense of things.
Take a side.
Yeah, I did. Personally, probably he's fine. It's one of those. It's the way things used to be. I don't agree with everything that you believe, and it's fine.
It's totally fine.
Yeah, it does. You're not bad for it. I'm not bad for it, and we can talk about it. That seems to be what his shtick was. It wasn't just about debating. Wasn't just about debating for engagement farming and growing followers. In his words, he said he felt it was important to have these conversations because when the conversations stop, that's when the violence begins. I think that's true. I support that 100%, and he was effective. The overall Gen Z doesn't seem to be more conservative overall than any previous generation, but the conservative chunk of Gen Z is more conservative than the conservative chunk of us, of millennials. So people like him. It's not just because of him, but people like him. The kids that are church type kids are stronger believers. They take it more seriously. They're waiting for marriage more. They're drinking less. They're reading the Bible, all that kind of stuff. So it some of that has to be from him. A lot of young men have been or voted for Trump this time around. Some of it, I think, a lot of it is more about rejecting the status quo of our system. And I think a good chunk of it, too, is responding to some of these Republican concepts that they sell, many of which some of the more popular ones, they rip off the libertarians, but, shutting down these government agencies and, small government, low tax, that kind of stuff. Anyway. So that's who he was. And this reaction has been not great. And before this, there was, I always blank on her name. The Ukrainian, was it Irina?
Irina, yeah.
Yeah. What's her last name?
Yeah.
Zutska. Irina Zutska. And so I was going to save her to be one of our loaded grok little 5-minute bits. Because it didn't fit in neatly anywhere. And that was not political violence, but the reaction to it was very political. There was almost no coverage out of any member of the press about the murder, especially when you compare it to like a George Floyd type thing. I don't need to pull this up, but
initially until
they had no choice.
Right, people kept calling them out on it.
Yeah, like Axios, everything just reset or rebooted or refreshed. I'll give it a second. Okay, whatever. But Axios, their first thing about it was basically that this murder in North Carolina is becoming a MAGA war cry or a MAGA cause. And so you go, okay, like their first reporting on it is that MAGA people are reporting on it. And then it's become like they've taken an interest, and it's not the details of it, it's not the murder. But the problem is with this, the reason I was going to bring it up is reaction to it's real. What the right wing, so the political right is making note of, a white woman killed by a black guy, no press coverage, no big cause, no murals. Whereas George Floyd, a felon and all that. Yeah, here was Axios' post was the gruesome video of the fatal knife attack on Irina Zarutska on a light rail car in Charlotte is drawing attention from MAGA influencers seeking to elevate the issue of violent urban crime and accuse mainstream media of undercovering shocking cases. Well, they undercovered it. It was a shocking case. She had her throat cut while sitting minding her own business. it's a bad thing. And the guy had been arrested, 17 times or something, some of which for violent crimes, which speaks to DAs who are being too soft and not holding violent criminals accountable. But people went further than that. There's a lot of accounts online, and we're seeing this right now. There's a lot of, I would say, foreign influence and bot accounts. If you don't think you follow any foreign influence accounts, unless you follow only people you know, you do. I am confident I follow half a dozen at least that are attempting to influence me one way or the other. Some are more pro Arab world, some are definitely more pro right wing, and I don't think I have any left wing influencer accounts, but outside of like Palestinian type stuff.
Oh, we censor those.
Yeah. But either way, I think I find it interesting to see where it's posting. So with Irina, a lot of it was pushing racial division. It was, she was white, he was black. How come we never talk about it this way? We only talk about it when it's a black guy killed. This girl couldn't be more innocent, which is true. She was here hiding from Ukraine. She was a refugee, which automatically should get you some points on the left. A Ukrainian refugee comes to America for safety and gets murdered. But things were really stoking the racial tensions. There was a whole lot of, how come it's always black people, whatever it was. But basically the theme, it always seems to be black people doing this crime. And some would quote actual statistics, the prevalence of a black person murdering a white person is much higher than a white person killing a black person. I think that even is true after you factor cops into the mix. But if you take cops out, if you want to, it's very disproportionate, and that's true. Most ethnic groups are murdered by their own ethnic group outside of Asians. Asians don't kill themselves as much as other people kill them. I forget it. It's either black people or Hispanic people kill Asians the most, out of people killing Asians in America. But anyway, so there's all this racial division stuff, and you go, all right, this is a bad story. This is a tragic thing that happened. This is a murder, but we're being purposefully divided. People are trying to jump on. I don't need to show this video. Let me load these things. People, and I think good-meaning people. Here, we'll show these folks right here. Come on. All right. So these people were sitting across the hall or across the aisle when she got her throat cut, and then she falls on the ground, and they don't get up to help, but they they try to get off. They walk away basically, and she bleeds out. And so a lot of people are then pointing, and they're people just listening. All three of them are black. It's a black woman and two dudes. And so people are like, these cowards, they should have helped. What's wrong with these people? Our society is so messed up. Our society is so callous. A grown-ass man just pulled out a knife and murdered somebody in front of these three people. These are just people coming home from work. You want this woman in front to jump up and fight the man who just killed another woman already? And these other two guys, the guy in the middle, he doesn't look that big. The guy in the back looks like he might be a little older. I don't know. Either way, I think it's unfair to judge these people's character because after they watched a man who callously murdered someone with a knife, who still had the knife in his hand, who is now standing up while they are seated, and you go, why didn't y'all? Don't get me wrong. There's heroic acts when people do that kind of stuff, when they jump up and disarm a man and all that. It is heroic, but it's not. If you're not that brave in that moment, that doesn't mean the rest of your character's in question. It doesn't mean you're a callous human being. And I think some emotional people were making that argument, and I disagree with it. And probably some people trying to divide us still. they didn't care because she was white, probably, that kind of thing. We're just at this point where we're not seeing each other's perspectives at all. We see through the lens of the worst possible reason behind a word or an action or a belief. You can't believe that we have to enforce our immigration policies and our border policies unless you're hateful and you hate Hispanics and you're a fascist. Other than that, there's no good reason. It's taking everybody the worst possible deal. Were you going to jump in with something?
Well, I was just going to say, if those people who were judging these for sitting, after the man walks down the car a ways, a person of a darker skin tone comes to try and do what he can to stop her bleeding out. I mean, at some point. Yeah. But they chose to not focus on that.
Sure. And I guess these people are the closest, but they're also closest to the murderer. And I can tell you, I mean, it can't be comfortable watching someone die in front of your eyes at the hands of another person. A person who is willing to kill. I mean, this guy just walked on the train, saw her, sat behind her, slit her throat, and then afterwards she said the N-word, which she didn't. And maybe he's crazy and he hears things. But even if she did say it, that's crazy.
She didn't say a word. She was in shock.
She didn't say a word the whole time. Yeah, like
she was just looking at her phone. She comes up behind her, does his thing, and she's just like in terror.
Well, and I think he tried to claim that the reason he did it was she said the N-word.
She's sitting there quietly.
Yeah, she didn't say damn. You can see she doesn't say anything. And these other people know. So he even gets up and I got the white girl, and then she called me N-word. All of them know that didn't happen. They were sitting there. They saw you just walk on the train, sit there for a second, and go, I'm going to murder that girl now. So, yeah, he's crazy, and he's armed.
And, I mean, based on all the priors, I think dude likes prison.
He's not afraid of it.
That's the only thing, it was so random.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he needed something to go back for life. He was that institutionalized. It's possible. He could just be a nutter. But yeah, so with this and Charlie Kirk stuff, first you need to filter out a large percentage of reactions that are bots, controlled normally by foreign nations or foreign actors.
Like who?
Like a lot of them. And definitely the Ruskies and the Chinese. And, yes, your favorite people might do it too, Charlie. Israel could do it. And of course, there's murmurs sometimes about India and even Pakistan too. So, I mean, it's, spies of foreign nations do things. And then organized crime, they do stuff. But the Soviet Union was trying to get us broken apart for a while. They do believe it's carried over to Russia, into the Putin world, that we need to break apart from the inside. What is argued as one of America's greatest strengths, our diversity, is actually going to be our greatest weakness, and that it can be manipulated for us to tear each other apart. And then, split into different countries, smaller countries, no more superpower. And even if that doesn't mean Russia comes in to conquer, it just means, Russia or China really is now the lone superpower. So it changes the global dynamic. No more American system dominance, So that stuff's definitely going on. But when you take that out and you do look at the people who are normal people, who are showing this sort of indifference or celebration to Charlie Kirk's assassination as murder, it's disappointing. And when you hear it from, I notice it more with my Democrat friends and my Republican friends, but if you're ever talking you go camping or you're hanging out wherever, drinking beers, and someone talks about the news, what things are going on, you'll hear somebody say something, and you've heard it 1,000 times. It's a talking point. It's a talking point written by somebody that's powerful in terms of politics, either in the GOP or the DNC, either in the party proper or a financier or someone elected. But there's messaging that comes out on certain topics. Both sides have it. They roll it downstream through their news organizations, through their corporate media, through their paid influencers, and people regurgitate it. And when you hear your friends regurgitate it, you go, well, they don't know much on the topic. They know someone said something. Somebody on their team said a line, and you go, that's a good line. And it is. It's been workshopped. It's been crafted. It's a good line. These things are designed to be, they're zingers, And so a lot of times it's easy to dismiss the person. You go, whatever. They're being a parrot or a sheep or they just don't know. So maybe, who cares what they think? But I think it's important to try to find out, because even if they're not thinking, they're feeling something, and it's based on some thought they have had. And so it is valuable to try to see where people come from, and definitely not to just talk in sound bites back and forth. That's not how humans work, and it's how things get divided. We had a teacher. Show this little guy here. He's passed. Whoop. There he is. That's Colonel Ken Johnson, U.S. Marine Corps retired. Kennett. He taught both of us in school. And other than the Nile flows north, what was...
I was waiting for that.
What was one of the... Do you remember, especially I think in Latin? Not in Latin, but I don't know, in one of the history, world history.
Or something.
Yeah, but do you remember one of the things he always hit us with constantly about thinking? Remember one of his lines?
Oh.
Think double.
That's what it... Yep.
And at the very end, he said, at the very end, I'll tell you that it's actually think triple. And I think it's ancient Greece that it comes from, their sort of thought system. So it's one is, think for yourself. And that's obviously your behavior, your choices, your actions should be things that are beneficial to yourself, but also, honor yourself. It's, if you're choosing to do heroin, you're not really you're robbing a grocery store because you want to steal some booze because you want some booze and get you booze. Well, you want to do it, but that's not honoring yourself. You're not benefiting yourself. Jordan Peterson has that, one of his rules is treat yourself like somebody you're helping. And that's a great rule because a lot of people will go out of their way to help another person, but when it comes to themselves, they might disparage themselves or ignore themselves or generally not care for themselves. So it's kind of that same line. So you think for yourself. Think about doing things in a beneficial way for you as a person. And it's think for others. And so that could be your little group, your friends, your family. It could be a greater society, your city. And that's your behavior, your actions, your choices. Are they something that, how does it affect other people? Does it benefit your society? Does it benefit other people? Is it neutral? Or would your family look at this choice, this behavior, and say, that's disgusting, I'm ashamed of you? So you should consider the greater picture, how you're put into it, how you're affecting it, and think outside yourself in terms of the other people you share this world with. And then the third, which you waited forever, but here's the big spoiler: he can't make this class anymore. So it's think for the gods, and of course, monotheistic religions would be think for God, think about God. And I guess if you're atheist agnostic, it would just be, think of your value system, a moral value system. And that's think about the way you behave, your actions, all that kind of stuff in terms of how the gods see things being run? Will they be pleased with your action, or God? Will they be, will God be pleased with your action or not displeased? Are you, just displeased or pleased? Like what are you doing? When you really step back further and what you're about to do, maybe you can justify, this is good for me. This is good for society overall. So like with this killer, we'll probably find out that this person, if I had to guess, I'm gonna guess there's some sort of tie to trans empathy, even if they're not a trans person. There was a report, Steven Crowder leaked something that ATF said that they found the rifle and the bullets, the casings, had Antifa and trans messaging on it. It was like a picture taken from an ATF computer. Later, people did come out and say, a cop gave a comment where they said this early preliminary stuff, there's always a mix of things that end up being accurate and inaccurate. This is why they don't share things at this stage. And he didn't comment one way or the other on the accuracy of the bullets. But all that to just say that early leaks like this might not prove accurate. But based on Charlie Kirk's relationship with the LGBTQ community, I would not be shocked if it had to do with that. And so the killer might say, I'm going to do a service for the community by killing this man. That's something I want to do. It's something I'm capable of. It'll make me feel better. You go, think about others. You go, no, actually the world would be a better place with this person gone. And you go, okay. But then think for the gods. And you go, okay, well, how would a system of morality, how would God feel about you murdering this man who is sitting still, not threatening anybody? And of course, that's where it would fail. So it's I bring that up to say that it's art. I feel like that's something that needs to get into society more. We think about ourselves, and only in a very superficial way. We see it. I mean, we joke around a lot about it, but cocaine seems to be on the rise again. There's 2 different cocaine energy drinks. I've had one of them. It was crazy. It is very strong. I would not suggest drinking a full can of Mega Bump, made in St. Pete. Mega Bump. But that's my sponsorship. That way I can read ads for it. But I think they should say serving size, half a can. It's strong. Anyway, cocaine's on the rise, much like in the 80s. And the 80s was a very me-centric time. It was all about me. It was, greed is good. And I'm all about free market economy and all that kind of stuff where that shouldn't be regulated. I disagree that greed is good. Greed is, think about the gods. Greed is something that frowns upon. But I was like, greed is good. And we're kind of back in that, but it's instead of necessarily money greed, it's my truth, my immediate emotional satisfaction. The greed for immediate emotional satisfaction is good. It's just, and it's the end of the story. That's end all, the be all, the alpha and the omega. It's about satisfying my emotional need in this moment. And it seems to be where we are more often than I'm comfortable with. And on that, there are people, we have the news media. Of course, we know that the news media is corrupt. The corporate news media sucks. And we have independent news, which we're finding out that not all of them are as independent as we had hoped. They're getting financiers because there's profit in there, so people are funding them, and sometimes they don't disclose it, and sometimes they're not so independent. And then there's influencers who also stand to make money. And the motivator with them is engagement farming. It's get the clicks, get the eyeballs, bleeds it leads. So the only way to talk about stuff, get that immediate satisfaction, is hyperbole. It's not this is bad policy. It's a threat to our democracy. It's not this guy is believes in devout Christian ideals that we find do not fit into contemporary society where we want to live peacefully with the LGBT community. He is a threat to the existence of LGBT members everywhere, a threat to their existence, right? And when you talk in terms like that, when someone is, if by being a Republican, that means you are a fascist. That's all you have to do to be a fascist, to be a Republican, to be a, quote, literal Nazi, or to be, quote, literally Hitler. I think it has effects in society. Most grown adults know that even when someone says literally, they don't mean literally. So they're literally Hitler. That typically just means they vote a different way than I vote. For the most part, that's all someone means. They vote a different way than I vote, and they're effective. People like that person, you know. Barack Obama, literally Hitler. Donald Trump, literally Hitler. But the thing is, when you have
So many Hitlers.
not Hitlers, he got around for just having half of the needed pair down there. He sure did spread the seed far. I guess from Argentina. Anyway, but you know, if someone's literally Hitler, if the time traveling, would you go back in time and kill Hitler? Would you kill baby Hitler and all that kind of stuff? But for real, if it's, if you're in the middle of the Holocaust, back in time, in the middle of the Holocaust, Germany, of course you kill Hitler. 100% of the time. There's not a reason not to. We go to baby Hitler, people go, well, it's still a baby, it hasn't done anything, it's immoral to do. Fine, whatever. But in the middle of the Holocaust, in the middle of World War II, yeah, justifiable, 100% of the time. Or a week before the Holocaust starts, still. We hadn't done that yet. It's like, yeah, well, he's done enough. Anyway, but when someone's literally Hitler, actually Hitler, if Donald Trump is actually going to eliminate, kill all the Hispanics or deport all the Hispanics, not just the illegals, but all the Hispanics, if he's gonna be the death to gay people, execute gay people, even though he's the first presidential candidate of any party to go into a primary supporting gay marriage outright, openly. Somehow he's going to be the end of gay marriage. Anyway, when you have something like that, Charlie Kirk, he's an existential threat to the lives of the LGBT community, literally Hitler. Well, if you're a member of that community or an ally, I don't want them to die. I don't want all my friends, all my Hispanic or gay friends to die. I have to defend them and go on a hero's journey and kill Hitler. And most adults know that's not reality, but it trickles down. And once you get down the line, you have the stupid young adults, the college-age kids that are the dumbest version of themselves will ever be, full of the most, guys are. That's why you have them on the front line, guys 18 to 25 or whatever. We're ready to go. Just point us. We'll storm in a direction. We get on a hero's journey easy. It's all that testosterone and newfound freedom. And you're free to do something. You need a cause. Women, I'm sure, comparable for you. They want to feel part of society, that they're contributing. Because they're young, they're not a kid anymore, and they've got time, and normally their lives are paid for by the parents. But it trickles down to these people, and I'm not saying it's only young people, but when it trickles down to the young people that hear stuff, they'll repeat it too, and the literally part doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that young people hear literally Hitler and they all go, literally Hitler, but the tone of it, especially when it's drummed in over and over again. If these people are always evil, always evil, always evil, always a fascist, always a threat to this group, always a threat to this group, they want to kill this group, they want to kill this group, they don't even think about it. And I've talked to some people where you go, what? I mean, they haven't killed any of those group yet, right? Or, before Trump's second term, when he was running, he's gonna do this to this group, and you go, well, he didn't in the whole first term. Why would he do that in the second term? I don't really think about it, but even just the message at some point, even if everyone knows this person's not literally Hitler, if people know he's not literally going to kill somebody, they go, well, it's hyperbole of he's going to do something really bad. So even though you don't logically believe the murderous part of it, you don't logically believe the killer part of it, the message of this person, this party, this thing is very bad to the point of evil. That still gets communicated. And when you have some people with a screw loose, that's not good. And you can't feed them a cause. And that, unfortunately, has to be corrected at an individual level. We all need to look in the mirror and realize what we're doing. The click engagement, I don't know how you can't legislate this. You can't legislate this without doing some authoritarian crap. We see people online saying we got to censor stuff, or Republicans are wanting to censor Twitter now. We can't do that. People need to make changes. The news media can make changes. Maybe they're even liable, a little bit more liable for things they say. There's protections against slander and all that kind of stuff when you're a public person. But perhaps if someone calls you literally Hitler or something like that, and I don't know. I've been ranting. You look like you wanted to chime in a couple times.
Well, the way I was listening to how you're talking about think for others and somebody that is off the hinge, so to speak, thinks that taking this person out is going to solve world problems or whatever problem they think.
Sure.
But I look at it as, okay, there's 8 billion people in the world. If we gave each person the choice to take out one person they don't like, I bet you there's going to be some crossovers, going to be some similar ones, but I bet we end the entire human race. So that means we're the problem.
Oh, clearly.
I mean, that's just so like I can't justify that person's actions on Charlie Kirk. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right, because if everybody had what was that horror movie where you could like kill and everything that one day? Yeah,
Ethan Hawke.
we had that thing where everybody's running around killing people and stuff. But if we had that for one day, it's gonna come to me right after we're done recording. But if we had that for one day, like you said, and even if it was more like gator hunting where you get a coupon, you can kill one person. You're right. If I can kill just one person, and the thing you got will be crossover. But if you show up and person number one's dead, you go,
I got another.
well, I got a coupon. I'm like, who else? I'm like, yeah. And at some point, you might even get to a point where you go, I mean, I guess I want to use my coupon, but you're right. No, it's and that's what about the problem being us. I mean, you're right, and that's kind of what I'm saying with the news media has definitely been a problem. But the thing about them is their influence is dwindling. Cable news, the average viewer, the median viewer, is something like 70. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I should wait till you.
That's terrible.
It's terrible. I mean, 70 is old. I mean, no offense, but that is the median point. Half the viewers are older than that. Half. And the other half is younger, of course, but being younger than 70, I mean, kids don't. I mean, I don't watch cable news, and people younger than me, for the most part, don't watch cable news. So the you're talking probably 45 and older, maybe 50 and older, and most 50 and olders, 45 and olders, they're not going out and doing some of these horrific killings. We're tired, and we're rich, we're filthy rich. No. But yeah, we just, we have families, we have things to do. It's a lot, So young people obviously do these things most often. They have the least perspective on life. Many are on SSRIs. Some might be on hormone treatments, which is fine to be on, but it's something that needs to be managed. It's our bodies. We don't fully understand everything about our bodies. That is very clear. And to just overload it, I mean, you look at bodybuilders. That's guys putting testosterone and artificial things like that into their body to boost testosterone levels. And they have roid rage and they murder people sometime. And if they don't cycle things correctly, Bob's got man boobs. but it's there's side effects, even messing with the rate, your testosterone estrogen levels, whether you're a male or female, like it's a ratio. You got more than one, all that. So even just tweaking that in a way that is not abnormal generally for your gender, generally, has dire consequences. So it just any of these things can have an effect on the mind. But anyway, so the news media, their influence is waning. They still have influence when it comes to their online platforms, articles shared through social media, TikTok, when they make short videos for TikTok, that's big, obviously, and Reels and all the various versions. So that stuff still gets around, but that's the influencers are a big problem now. There's money to be made, and they're making money, and they're not careful with what they say, and they're not honest. They don't speak. We could do better, viewer wise, engagement wise, if I had my hair on fire a lot more. But it's not how I feel. It's not honest. I'd be putting on a show. Just whatever the thing is, whatever the social issue is. The whoever is a threat and they're horrible. But I don't know.
You're saying they're doing it for the wrong goal.
Oh yeah, the wrong goal. They're making money. They'll do fame. It's for fame. It's attention seeking. But that's where and then people just reposting it. Because kids do get influenced by these influencers. If they have a good channel, if they have good content, according to these kids, you can watch people like kids, as they watch different YouTube channels over the years, they'll pick up different little habits. They'll say things that people say. You can see you get influenced by them. And so if your influencer is hair on fire kind of person, maybe you're hair on fire. Maybe, Stan Marsh, I can be political too. And so then you repost stuff. This is literally the end of the world. And you post it out there too, even though you don't really know what it means. You want to be taken seriously as a global thinker. Greta Thunberg, for example, with her recent drone strike that ended up being a life jacket that caught on fire while they were in their Mediterranean vacation. They had their ship that they said was
Gaza Aid.
Yeah, their Gaza Aid flotilla. The guy said, I think we were struck by a drone. It's the biggest. We had hit off of Tunis. And you go, Tunisia, huh? And so you go to see where Tunis is in terms of the African continent, and you go, well, that's right by Italy. They're just chilling in the Mediterranean, having a good old time. Like, they have a financed yacht trip. They're not even near Israel. And I'm not saying you got to be way up on them. Obviously, there's problems there. But you could probably be a little bit closer. Anyway, it's people repeat this kind of thing, and we're selfish and we're hyperbolic, and we're conditioning people that extreme reactions are always what we need. It's the freedom fighter thing. You need to react strongly with your words. And every now and then, Luigi was celebrated after the United Health thing. Some people, when Trump's ear got hit, like some people were like, they should have shot him. Other people, it was fake. The whole thing's fake. And you go, well, no, this kid, for whatever reason, took a shot at the president. It's just, I don't know. It's a society sickness, and it comes from just our self-centered gobbling down of social media content. And And yeah, I don't know. I think that's what leads us to this place. Some people are using it as a call to take away guns, of course. People on the left that are more mature are like, well, I hope now the right can see that common sense gun reform is necessary now that one of their own were taken. And you go, hey, like, tragedy is the worst time to make big decisions. It's when you're the most emotional, you're the least logical. Charlie, you showing how on Twitter that Anna Paulina Luna and there's some other dude from wherever the hell calling for Twitter to censor people. Who
censor the video.
Yeah, Luna was like, censor the video. This other guy was like, any account should be thrown off if they've celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. And, it's ugly. But the right-wing accounts, Defiant L's, for example, who is likely an influence account, but they're like, I'm going to repost every single person that celebrates Charlie Kirk's death here. And they did. They've just been reposting it. And if you follow it, it would be really easy to just get angrier and angrier. I can't, like, how can you be so callous? What a jerk. What a jerk. And all that's doing is driving people on the right who might be like, this is a tragedy, to now get them so angry that maybe they need to react in kind. So even with that, it's engagement farming, getting people riled up. If they're angry, they click more, they view longer. Yeah.
I think it also, in addition to that, it allows those who may not voice often or at all through others. Like if they're reposting or, if they're, if you, like if they were somebody I knew and I'm not used to hearing that from them, but I see them repost it. Now I'm like, okay, so you're thinking that? Are you agreeing with that? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a way to have kind of...
but it gives them an avenue,
Well, and that's... Some people I like... So there's an account on Instagram, I've talked about it before, Hard Time News. They do music-based, mainly punk kind of based, spoof sort of headlines. And they had like 2 or 3 just about Charlie Kirk's murder that were... the assassin how the assassin missed his giant head type thing. And there's another one about something, I forget.
They post about music?
Yeah, it's
like normally?
Yeah, they get like sometimes a political thing here or there, but but it's mainly music related stuff, and it's snarky and funny. And so there was a couple where it was just kind of tasteless joking about this man getting murdered. Like the missing the head was one, and there's one other that was pretty bad too. And on Instagram it'll show you when people liked something, right? And so there's people who maybe they posted on the reels or something things that were pretty level. It's never okay. Like political violence is never okay, but reposting people like that. But then you go, oh, but you liked this horrible thing. And it was one of those things where I decided just to unfollow him. Not making a big deal out of it. I was just like, I don't want to see this. It's just, I don't feel good about murder. And part of it is, we watched the videos. I don't know what that's about. That popped up the other day. All my stuff's legit. But we watched the various videos of Kirk getting murdered, and it's hard to watch. It's the first time I've seen someone get murdered. It's a weird sentence to say, but it's the first time I've watched someone get murdered in a long time. Arba Dwyer, and then like some of those beheading videos back in the day when Live Leak was around, and it's rough. Every time you watch something like that, I don't know, at least you kind of feel it. You kind of feel it right here, and it's a tough thing. It's very difficult to watch. It's hard to be callous about death after when you watch it. It's rough. So I don't know. I think part of it is that like after watching it and knowing, especially knowing his kids were in the crowd and stuff like that, just to just flippantly joke about it, like, oh, ha ha. I don't know. I guess it's just not what I'm looking for, and I'm not looking to be connected to that sort of thought process, you know?
Right. We don't have to censor it. We just choose not to look at it.
Well, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I clicked unfollow. Yep. I didn't make a big post about unfollowing. This I mentioned it just to say that, you know, I saw some people who liked it, and I was like, I find it very disappointing that they liked it, you know, just because it is so callous. But this is the deal. This is the entire deal I'm making. Is casually talking about. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a good point. This is in this article in Just the News. It was kind of talking about some of the stuff that's been going on. And so it talks about how there's a poll. They did a poll. Yeah, sure. We'll bring it on 1 hour. So polling data shows that concerns about rage rhetoric are not unfounded. As recently as last year, nearly 1/3 of Americans surveyed, around half of those identifying as left of center, so self-identifying left of center, believe that the murder of certain public figures is at least somewhat justified. So, you know, somewhat justified, absolutely justified, you know, that kind of thing. The City Journal reported, citing research from the Network Contagion Research Institute. 38% of all respondents and 55% of those who identify left of center said assassinating President Trump would be at least somewhat justified. 31% of respondents and 48% of those left of center said the same thing about Elon Musk. So this poll, does it say? So it's just Americans. But this poll they did last year, basically, if you consider yourself left of center, it's a coin toss on whether you think killing somebody for political differences is justified. That's not good. I mean, 1/3 of the people overall, I can understand when you generally speaking, right? Because once again, if you have literally Hitler, you go, yeah, sure. But when you get into specifics, you know, Biden, Trump, Elon, Bill Gates, whatever. You know, once you get into specifics, you go, I mean, no, not really. You know, someone with Bill Gates, you joke about him being Mr. Burns and all this kind of stuff. But, you know, you wouldn't go, yeah, murdering him is justifiable. You go, hey, he probably needs to be investigated. Like investigating I can get behind. Probably the same with Joe Biden. You know, and well, Donald Trump got investigated quite a bit. So I don't know. You think if they had something there, they would have had something there.
Yeah, not everything needs to be justice through death.
Right. Or big hammer swinging, you know, censor this. I saw Marco Rubio said that any foreigner who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, who was like applying for like a visa, will not be granted one. So it's like, hey, you celebrate the assassination of this guy, and now you want to come to our country? You can't. And you go, I mean, all right. I mean, I guess all right. If you celebrate the murder of any American, I guess, you know, maybe stay out. But
yeah, why are you coming here?
Yeah, but you know, to just pop up on this one, and maybe, and you know, not to be divisive, but maybe it's because in these past shootings of people, no one has been celebrating them. This is the first one in a while that anyone, I mean, when Trump got his ear shot, people celebrated it, but the thing was, he didn't die, and everybody who was paying attention knew he just won the election, you know? So even when left-wing people would say kind of nasty things about wishing that he died, it was one of those where people could go, he's about to kick your candidate's butt, so enjoy laughing while you can, you know? So this is the first time in a long time. Like we said at the beginning, I can't remember people celebrating death like this. Here's something we might as well show this just because so when Kirk first got shot, they arrested this old man. This old man was taking credit for the shooting. He said he did it. Now this is him being escorted to the police cruiser yesterday. It's a short clip, but I think it's worth watching just because it does pose a bit of a question, which I'm sure we'll find out the answer to shortly. But here we go. Do we not have volume? Maybe we don't have volume. Okay, well, forget the volume. So that's him walking, but the whole time he's walking, we'll just watch it again now that I'm not looking. He's going, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. So the whole time he's walking, he's yelling, shoot me. So the question is this guy a nutter or was he a decoy? Because by taking credit for the shooting and getting arrested, he took valuable time away. Oh, yeah. We were having trouble with Firefox in the past. Maybe it's just that same issue again. They'll test it later. But, by saying, I did it, and being dragged to the cop car, all those cops were like, we got him. And it wasn't until they asked him a few questions, realized he didn't have a gun, things like that. They go, hey, it's not him. But in that time, the kid and the FBI has released, grainy footage of the guy. People are saying looks like David Hogg. It does kind of look like David Hogg. It's not. It's definitely not David Hogg. But you do have to wonder, is this old guy just a nutter who wanted attention or just wanted to be a jerk? Or maybe he purposefully wanted to let the guy get away? And then the question is it because he was in cahoots? Or just because he saw Charlie Kirk get shot and he goes, I'm going to give somebody some time because he's 80 years old and he's been around the block and he thought, well, whoever did it's going to need some time to escape. He's arrested right now for obstruction of justice. I would not suggest. I don't know if we have audio, so we'll skip some of this. All right, here's another good example just of the division stuff. The government, the people we put in power are still using this dishonestly for vote engagement. Click engagement is vote engagement. It's all the same thing in today's politics. So I saw a post. My wife sent it to me yesterday about how Lauren Boebert from Colorado, she asked for a prayer to be led on the floor. I'm going to pause this in case there is audio that somehow we don't notice. I was muted anyway. That Lauren Boebert asked for a prayer to be led for Charlie Kirk, and the Democrats said no. And then people went, oh, and then Luna said, y'all caused this. And so you hear that and you go, God, that's horrible. First of all, what kind of people wouldn't even allow us a prayer? Well, when you go back 5 more seconds, or I guess probably a minute, what happened was Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, goes, we're going to pause for a minute for a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, who was murdered. And so they sit there for a long time. It might have been a full minute. I don't know. Mike Johnson's the only one with a mic, so it's hard to tell. But they're all sitting there, silent prayer for Charlie Kirk. And then at some point, as it kind of is ending, Boebert goes, can we have somebody lead us in a prayer, out loud? And that's when Democrats are like, oh, come on. And don't get me wrong, just whatever. Let someone say a prayer. Someone died. You're only talking about a couple of minutes here. We're not asking for
It's not torture.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like a 30-minute PowerPoint presentation or something. It's just stupid not to let it go. But and then of course, Anna Paulina Luna, you caused this. So in that, there's a couple things going on. You caused it. Clearly, it's either just a stunt for attention, probably to fundraise off of. Or she actually believes it, which is poor politics, because in the moment you can walk away and say the Democrats said no to just a little prayer in honor of a slain man. But then you had to go and be crazy. So you lose a political battle right there. But the other thing that happens afterwards is it's getting sold as the Democrats were in opposition to even a moment of silence. But they didn't oppose that. They observed that. They did that, and they observed it like normal adult humans. I mean, if someone rolled their eyes, they rolled their eyes. You couldn't hear it. But it's, once again, like just immediately right off the bat, it's being this division thing's being pitched. And I know not everything is the Soviet Union or whatever foreign actor dividing us on purpose. To be honest, our own government gets a lot of power from dividing us. The more we fight, the more they get away with. We can't pay attention to their corrupt nastiness if we're fighting each other about what somebody else said. But immediately, like it's the dude's not even, his body hasn't been delivered home, and people are making hay, clickbait stuff. I mean, we're talking about it. And the politicians they're basically fundraising and just doing what politicians do, Yeah, I don't think I had anything else worth talking about here. These are just angles of that thing. Google assassination. Okay. So yeah, that'll be that. You got anything before we close out? So I guess, yeah, I don't know. I know that wasn't a lot of hard news there, but it's just weird trying to process it. I don't know. It's uncomfortable watching someone die. And we weren't even in person. So anyway, like and subscribe. So we've just been criticizing all these engagement farmers.
Yeah, I can't even do the fact of the day. It just doesn't even make sense right now.
Fact of the day sucks. Mark Norman had the only kind of funny joke. He said something like, "Man, yesterday was weird. At least today we can turn a page and go back to celebrating 9/11." Anyway, do the subscribe thing. We are going to be rolling out a new thing we call Loaded Grok, where we have Grok pitch topics, and these will be little 5 to 10 minute shorts. So keep an eye out for those. Share those. Those help a lot. We found out our editing software was distorting our audio in weird ways at random times. So if you've seen some episodes disappear, that's why. We're going to get them back online here soon.
Literally Hitler.
I was actually about to say Charlie, but yeah, literally Hitler figured out how to fix this problem. Hey, got anything for the people?
Nope.
All right, well, let's get out of here.